Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution.
Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution,
And this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. Today I have my guest is a friend of mine, Leanne Charland, and Leanne is a speaker on how to not make mistakes. She talks about how her own mistakes and how we can leverage off her mistakes rather than making our own. And today Leanne is here to talk with me, to help me to share with you the message of my social mission, chocolate and coffee breaks. So I invited Leanne along so that I could have a conversation rather than just talking to myself, because you know what, that's a bit boring. So welcome, Leanne.
Thank you, Andrea. What an amazing thing to be doing, talking to you about your thing, your passion. I've heard so much about this passion for such a long time, and I'm ready for a deep dive into it. Is that okay?
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing it, because I've been talking about sharing it since I started this podcast 18 months ago or so, and I still haven't done it. So I thought, well, now's the time. So let's do it.
Coffee and chocolate. I wish I had some coffee and chocolate here right now. It's a little bit early in the morning, but I could be persuaded.
I always have chocolate ready at hand, ready to share with someone. This is pretty special. This is Kakadu Plum Company. I'm looking forward to sharing that one on my other podcast.
Yum. Yes. So tell me, if there was one thing in the world that you would fight for, what would that be?
This is really interesting because, of course, it's my question that I ask everybody. And the reason I ask is because the first time I was asked a similar kind of question, the first thing that popped into my mind was the right to express yourself in whatever spiritual context you wanted to be, which kind of then related to how I started Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony. So I just looked at that as a real reflection of where there is something deep within us. But when I've explored this deeper over the last few years since I started on this whole journey, is that what's at the depth of what's important to me is the right for every person to be treated as equal, to have their worth, to have their value recognized and acknowledged, to whoever they are, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, they're just as important as me, as the next person. And I frequently come up against this kind of thing when in conversation. For some reason, people will start telling me about their experiences of other people expressing prejudice to them, and I get so fired up. It's just, I almost say it's hilarious how much I do get fired up with this. It just eats away at my soul somehow when people are not treated like they should be treated. And of course, this is not an experience that I have had. I'm a white female living in Australia, so I'm not treated with prejudice like that. And when I go overseas into other countries, such as Asian countries, I'm treated like I stand out, but I'm treated in a good way, not a bad way. So when I see people being treated in a bad way, that's my thing. That's where I get worked up. I get really worked up. But as you're my guest, I'm going to have to ask you the same question. If there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would it be?
So I I fight for people to have that self-awareness about themselves and to find the magic in the mistakes that they make. So it's so easy for us to go down a hole into beating ourselves up and feeling stuck. And I know that because I've been there. But I now try and help people to see possibility in everything. So I'm an IT person and a speaker, but I do that in everything that I do. So if I can help someone, find a little light for them, right? Whether it's spiritual or whether it's logical, it doesn't matter. It feels so good when they find their thing. So that, like, empowerment. So it is self-empowerment of them. It's not me. They don't need me. I'm just turning the light on for them.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
So that, yeah.
I love it when
So
people
I just love that.
When people just turn that light on and suddenly there's this awareness of something greater that they are, that they can be. It's just an amazing experience to see.
And I see that crossover between both of our like passions, because with this prejudice, you're turning the light on the people who are prejudicial and the people who are victim. You're bringing them closer together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I like that analogy of just being the light switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're light switches.
So when did you start this? You mentioned 18 months ago, but it seems like it's been a long time. So when did you start it?
Well, Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony is actually coming up to the 6th year. Yeah, I don't believe it. It's amazing that it's been that long. So Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony started with the Lindt cafe siege in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And that just sparked something in me, because what happened was that a gunman walked into the Lindt cafe in Sydney and took people hostage. I'm just trying to think of the numbers. It was 8 employees and 11 patrons, I think, something like that. And he took them hostage, and they were hostage for a long time. I think it was about 24 hours or something like that. And he was doing this in the name of Allah. He had his ISIS flag that he was waving, and that kind of thing. Now, at the end of that, well, of course, we didn't think this kind of thing could happen in Australia, so we were all very shocked with it. And at the end of that, sadly, 2 innocent people were killed, plus the gunman. But then we had this feeling like something, we didn't know what was going to happen, and it was just like collectively we held our breath, and it was like, what's going to happen here? How are people going to respond? And the Muslim community were afraid. They thought that some people were taking off their religious garb in the street because they were afraid to be seen, thinking, oh no, we're going to have to hide out again, and it's not going to be safe for us to go from here to there. But in the midst of this moment, there was this, I call it a quiet roar that happened when people started to put on Facebook and social media the hashtag I will ride with you, because they could see that this was not the Muslim community's fault. This had nothing at all to do with them, but they would have to take the brunt of it. And so the community at large was saying, hey, this is not your fault. Do not go and hide. You do not have to hide. We will ride the bus, the train, the ferry with you so that you can get from point A to point B safely. So there was just this overriding sense of community and love that came out. And it really touched my heart. It really filled my soul to know that in Australia that we were not going to respond in hate and terror. We weren't going to go out and buy guns. No, we were going to love. We were going to respond by accepting each other for who we are. So then this sat with me for some time, for several months, and it's like, why do we have to wait? Why do we wait until something terrible happens before we stand up and say, hey, we want to live in a world where everyone is valued for who they are? And so I think it got to about November, and I just said to my mother one day, when's Chocolate and Coffee Day? And she goes, I've never heard of it. And I go, oh yeah, that's right. I have to start that. And so I did. I just went on social media and started putting that out there, putting out the idea of it. And yeah, it's an idea that I just still love the concept of it. It's just so simple, so easy for people to do, that I just keep putting it out there, that this is something that we can share in. All we have to do is reach out to somebody and say, hey, come and have a chocolate and coffee and tell me your story, and let's listen and share with this experience and get to know each other, because when we do, we break down the barriers that are dividing us. So it's simple, it's easy, and there's lots of ways that can develop. But it's one of those things that, it's proven in scientific research that happens. When you listen to someone's stories, it does break down the intolerances and the differences. So if we can do this, we can reach out to somebody, then we can make a difference in their life. We can make them feel like they're wanted, that they're valued, and we can get to understand who they are. So we create that empathy that's really important for community to develop.
All I can say is thank you. Thank you for doing that, creating that space to allow people to build a rapport with each other, right? To just come into that harmony together, right? So yes, you've got a couple of really nice tools, a bit of coffee and a bit of chocolate. That's a great hook. But I can just see, while you were telling that story, I could see, especially women, I could see them sitting together, and I could see them seeing their similarities rather than their differences, right? Like just beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm all goosebumpy. Thank you. So with, especially with the COVID situation and the world having changed, like, who would have thought that it would be something like this that would completely overhaul the way the world works? Where can this go now?
It's an interesting thing, is because, like I said, I've done Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony. So last year it was 5 years, and then people keep saying to me, well, why is it only one day a year? We need this to develop into something else. So I looked at it and thought, well, why not chocolate and coffee breaks, where we just encourage this kind of talk, this kind of behavior in people, and open up some opportunities for people to share with each other in various ways. And so chocolate and coffee breaks concept is kind of developed into, well, whoever you are, why not do this? Why not think this on a daily basis? Why not think about, well, you see someone and they're a bit different. Oh yeah, I can invite them to chocolate and coffee. The thing that I love about chocolate and coffee is that, well, chocolate, just when you give someone a chocolate, it makes them feel good. It does. It's the oxytocin. It's just, and it opens up also to be able to have a conversation a bit more, because you just relaxed into that. And sitting down having a cuppa with somebody, everyone feels comfortable with that. That transcends every culture, every religion. You can sit down and have something to eat and drink with someone. So it's a comfort zone to start with. So then we open up this opportunity for people to have these conversations. And the more I look into it, the more I see these multi-level dimensions of diversity that we need to transcend. So it's not just the religion, it's not just the culture, it's not just sexuality and gender issues. There's all sorts of things, it's possibilities in workplaces where people need to come together and start to work together. How do we get to that point where someone we thought was so different to us, even if they are the same gender, the same race, the same everything else, they can seem to be really different, but we don't connect with them. So just this experience of going, well, hey, hang on, let's do this. Let's find the ways to break down and have a conversation, find how we are the same, find that connection that we can that level that we can connect on, and that allows us to work together in a better way. And yeah, I can go on all day about about this, about how then that offers opportunity for people to work together in many ways in community, in the workplace, and to grow ideas and ways of improving the world.
Well, oh, that's right. I mean, it's a wonderful banner, right? To be encouraging this behavior. We've got things like Are You Okay Day. Well, coffee and chocolate day for whatever harmony, right? Just let us bring this all together. It doesn't, we're all different. We all have bias. Let's break down the bias by getting to know each other.
Yep.
That's gorgeous. So as one of my passions is learning from my mistakes and making sure you don't make the same ones, tell me, what advice do you have to someone who wants to make a difference in the world, who doesn't know necessarily what it is, hasn't found their thing, but knows that there's this burning desire to be more than just themselves?
Yes. So because this is the social mission revolution and I started it, and so this is my passion about how people can find that something special that just speaks to them so strongly that it doesn't matter what else is going on in their life. They've just got to go, I just have to do this. This is something that's calling me from beyond. So and part of that is that question that I start with is, what is it that you would fight for? What is it that really speaks to you? So that's one of the questions that I would always ask people. But it's a case of, let's look at who you are and what your strengths are. What is your values in life? What is those things that really drive you in everything you do? So things like your own stories, your values, your strengths, and those passions in your life. So there's that thing that you love to do more than anything else in the world that sparks you, so that you're lying in bed one day and you're feeling like complete rubbish before you get up in the morning, and you just go, oh, I'm so tired, I just don't want to get up, just stay here. But oh no, I have to do that one thing, that thing that's just going to, no matter how bad you're feeling, you just get up and go and do it because you know that's the most important thing for you to do in the world. There's a secret in that. Draw out that along with your values and that one thing that you would fight for, and you're going to find that something really special just spark in your life. So that's the things that to me help people to find that special social mission. And when I speak to people on this podcast, I'm always fascinated to hear the backstories. Why did you start that? And it's really interesting to see those little sparks in their lives. So they might start off looking and going, well, this thing's really important to me. Like, what comes into mind is when I spoke to Tina Murray, and what was really important to her was education. But then, because education's so important, she ended up looking at how do you put toilets in schools in Africa, and became known as Toilet Tina. So it's just really fascinating when you start to pull all these things together, and then the secret, you let go and allow that special thing to come to you. And so not being attached to where that's going to take you, and allowing that something special.
And that's what I was hearing. Yeah. So don't be attached to how.
Yeah.
You know, you could be teaching children. It could be installing toilets. Don't be attached to how. Be focused on the outcome.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to make a difference? And so if you had any advice for anyone on how to get themselves out of the way of their social mission, what would that be? You mentioned getting up in the morning, having this idea of, you know, like this one thing you must do today. But is there anything else? Is there anything you can do in the community? Do you share it with somebody? What is it that you can do to get things out of the way?
Yeah, there's a few important things that I see. Is that, to me, one of the things that I love is to be able to work with other people. So that is one thing that you can work with, is finding those other people who have those similar values, those similar ideas, and going, hey, let's do something together. Let's create something. What will that be? So then, if you're not attached to your own ideas, but you put those all in together, there's this beautiful Mayan saying, is that, oh, now I'm not going to remember it. I can't remember exactly, but pretty much it's like we put our ideas together and something was created from that. It's not my idea, it's not your idea. It's, let's get together and create something that is of value in the world. And you put together who each of you are, all those strengths, all those experiences and stories, and then see what emerges. Absolutely beautiful.
I 100% agree. That collaboration, that open collaboration, is like, it's a bit like maths, right? It's like you put two people together and it's the square of that. It's 4. It's not 2 anymore. So we've got 3 people. It's 9. You know, it's like that. As long as we just leave our egos at the door.
Yeah.
And truly, really do it, then it's an exponential thing, which is why it can make such a big difference in the world. And we have seen that in many other ideas, I suppose, in the world that have been successful, where we've seen that little bud grow.
Yeah. And there's the key there that you said is to let your ego go. Because for a true social mission to grow and develop, you really have to embrace the idea that it's not about me. And you have to allow that to be your whole thing. So if it's better that it goes this way or that way, it can't be about you. You can't hold on to it. You have to allow this to be something of the universe and to create this special thing. So very much not about me and what's going to be the best outcome for those who I feel called to help, to be of service to. So very important one.
Yes. So, is there, like, do you have a program or a website or something where people can find out more information about how you can help them, or how they can support you in facilitating your mission?
Of course. So the website chocolateandcoffeebreaks.com, if you go there, there's a whole lot of stuff that I've created on there, and you can download a information resource pack which gives you different ideas of how you can have chocolate and coffee breaks, because there are various ways, from the individual reaching out to one person, to whole community ideas, to workplace ideas, to sporting clubs, because it's been in so many different places already that these are the kind of things that I'm seeing. And also it gives those kind of guidelines of how to start and what to do, because I thought that was really important, because for me, being an introvert, starting a conversation isn't easy. So I have some guidelines and suggestions along there on how people can do that. So that's the chocolate and coffee breaks. That's the place to go. And it's also chocolateandcoffeeday.com. And so you can go on one of those sites and get that information resource pack. And of course, they can contact me through my website, andreaputting.com.au, or through Facebook, or through these podcasts, because I'm easy to find. I'm the only Andrea Putting in the world. Just Google me and you'll find a connection with me.
That is fantastic, because I'm certain that many people who listen to today's podcast will be as inspired as I am to do something. And I know, as a friend of yours, our connections and our conversations make such a difference. And I think to both of us. So I know that I'm living chocolate and coffee with you. And I'm privileged to be in that space. So I welcome anybody who either for them or somebody else, sort of recommend somebody to listen to this, or go to your website, because it's so important in these days where darkness is rife. It is so important that we have this connection. So is there anything else that you would like to share that just must be said today?
I also have Chocolate and Coffee podcast. If you've only listened to Social Mission Revolution, I also have started Chocolate and Coffee Breaks podcast, where we talk to people from all sorts of different backgrounds and diversities, and like I said, multifaceted, multi-dimensional diversity, so that we can just learn a little bit about each other and how different people in the world live and experience life. So that's fun too.
Fantastic. So if you would like to leave everyone with a magic statement, what could that statement be?
I always say, share a chocolate, have a cuppa, enjoy a conversation, and change the world.
Thank you so much, Andrea Putting. You are amazing.
Thank you, Leanne, for sharing with me today and helping me to have the conversation about chocolate and coffee breaks and how to develop social mission. It's been wonderful sharing this time with you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next time with another social mission revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another social mission revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.